Hello guys, today we are going to start with GOC part 2 lecture number 40. Part 1 was a detailed discussion on the nomenclature of organic compounds and part 2 is a detailed discussion on isomerism, and in isomerism the topic that we are discussing is optical isomerism and we are on to optical isomerism lecture number 6. My request to all the students, please watch all the lectures to have a thorough understanding of the concept. Otherwise, your information, even of the topic that you are learning in a particular lecture, is not going to be complete. Something related we must have done in the previous lecture, something related we are going to do in the next lecture. Well, your knowledge is not going to be complete if you do not watch all the lectures. So please do that. Now, in the last lectures, what we have learned is that we now know how to identify from all the molecules that we have which molecule is going to show optical activity or not. So that molecule and its non-superimposable mirror image molecule, well, those two molecules, they form a pair of enantiomers. Now, what would you call them? One would be compound A, one would be compound B, right? So we have to name them because as far as the IUPAC naming system is concerned, well, both of them, they have the same structural formula. So to help us name those two compounds separately, we have a RS system of nomenclature. So that is what we are going to learn in this lecture, how we are going to name the compounds a pair of enantiomers by this RS system of nomenclature. I am Dr. Ritu Johar, your educator from the channel H2O Chemistry, and I hope you are enjoying your learning with me and you're going to enjoy this session with me. So let us begin the learning. So let us begin this lecture with a brief recap of what we have done in the previous lectures and that we are going to do with the help of this diagram. In this diagram, what you can see is that we have two compounds. This is compound A and this is compound B. The name of the two compounds, this is going to be bromochlorofluoromethane. This is also going to be bromochlorofluoromethane. Right, both of them, they have the same structural formula. If we look at them closely, what we find is that these two, they are just differing in the spatial arrangement of atoms around the carbon. How is the spatial arrangement different? Well, they both are mirror images of each other. If you just place them side by side, place a mirror between them, what you will be finding is that this is going to be a mirror image of this and this will be a mirror image of this. Similarly, you can appreciate this thing over here as well. And these two are mirror images. Which ones? They are going to be non-superimposable mirror images of each other. And hence, both of them, they are chiral molecules. All right, now how did we learn to find out whether this is going to be a chiral molecule or not? Well, this molecule, this is just one carbon and one carbon. This is surrounded by four different groups represented by these four different colored balls. So four different groups around one carbon. Well, this is going to be an asymmetric carbon. This is going to be a chirality center. And because in this one molecule, we have just one chirality center, 100% this we know is going to be a chiral molecule. And a chiral molecule and its non-superimposable mirror image compound, they both are called as enantiomers. And now the enantiomers, they behave differently towards the plane polarized light. Therefore, they both are going to be called as optical isomers as well. Now, when there are two compounds, this means that there should be two names as well. And you can see that in the naming also we have the names to be different. One is called as R-bromochlorofluoromethane and the other is called as S-bromochlorofluoromethane. Now, what is this R and what is this S? This is what is given to us by the RS system of nomenclature of naming these enantiomers or naming these optical isomers. That is what we are going to learn today, right? So let us begin the learning. So the RS system of nomenclature for naming the enantiomers, this was given by three scientists, Can, Ingold and Prelog, and therefore this is also called as the Can, Ingold, Prelog system of nomenclature, and this has been recognized by the IUPAC. So this is going to be a part of the IUPAC system of nomenclature of the organic compounds. Wherever there is going to be a compound which is going to be a chiral compound, well, you will have to name them according to this RS system of nomenclature. Otherwise, the name is not going to be complete. Fine. So what do we do in this RS system of nomenclature? Well, this RS system of nomenclature is going to indicate the configuration or the arrangement of the atoms or groups about the asymmetric carbon. For any pair of enantiomers with one asymmetric carbon, one will have the R configuration and the other will have the S configuration. The configuration of a compound, this is determined from the three-dimensional model of the compound. So we have to have an understanding of the three-dimensional arrangement of these group of atoms around the carbon for giving the RS system of nomenclature. Now in the naming of the enantiomers, well, you have to remember certain rules, and those rules, they are going to very similar to the ones that you have learned for the EZ system of nomenclature for the geometrical isomers. Rule number 1 says that there are 4 atoms which are attached directly to the chirality center. We are going to rank them from 1 to 4. And this ranking, this is going to be in accordance with their atomic numbers. The atom with the highest atomic number, this has the highest ranking, whereas the atom which will be having the lowest atomic number, this will be having the lowest ranking. And this is going to be generally hydrogen, because hydrogen, this has the lowest atomic number, right? But there is going to be one problem that you will face when there are going to be isotopes of the same element which are surrounding the chirality center. So in that case, what are you going to do? Well, when there are different isotopes of the same element, they are being compared. For example, if you're comparing deuterium and protium, the heavier isotopes ranks higher than the lighter isotopes. So here is a list of the few atomic numbers of the common elements. You must be all knowing them, but still for your reference sake, we have put them down for you. So according to this rule number 1, if you have to number the groups surrounding the carbon in this molecule, how will you do that, right? So we have a bromine, a chlorine, a fluorine, and a hydrogen. Out of these bromine, this will be having the highest atomic number. So this is going to be atom number 1. This is the group of highest priority, right? Then we will be having chlorine, then we will be having fluorine, and then we will be having hydrogen. So this way you are going to number all the 4 groups which are present around the asymmetric carbon. So now I know that you want to name this compound completely, which is going to be the R and a S. You just do not want to just number them 1 to 4. You want to see what is going to be the next part of the story. But that we will be doing a bit later. What I want you is to learn first of all the rules for the naming of these compounds so that we can name them together. Alright, so rule number 2 is what we are going to learn. And why do we need that rule number 2? First of all, you should understand that. So the rule number 1 says that you have to arrange the groups according to priority of the atomic number. So supposedly now if I have a chirality center which is attached to a chlorine, a hydrogen, a methyl group, and a ethyl group. So that would be a CH2, CH3. So here chlorine is going to be the highest atomic number, so group number 1. We have a hydrogen, so this is going to be group number 4. Between group number 2 and 3, which is going to be 2 and which is going to be 3, because first atom which is attached to the chirality center, both of these groups, they have a carbon. So we cannot decide at carbon atom number 1 over here, which is going to be a group of higher priority. So that is where we are going to need the group rule number 2. So rule number 2 says that if a decision cannot be made by ranking the first atoms in the substituent, look at the second, the third, and the fourth atoms away from the chirality center until the first difference is found. So what this means is that we are going to look a bit further. And when we look a bit further, well, this is going to be the chirality center. Okay, so chlorine is done, hydrogen is done. I will be just writing down the CH3. When I write a CH3, this side will be a ethyl group. Okay, so a CH3, well, this is going to be carbon. This is going to be attached to 3 hydrogens. And this is a carbon which is attached to 2 hydrogens and a methyl group. So what I can do is I can write this as a H, and a H as my second group of atoms. And here what I can do is I can write this a H, and a C. So out of these three on this side and out of these three on this side, which is the group of higher atomic number? It is going to be carbon over here. Fine. So my ethyl group, this is going to be of a higher priority than the methyl group. So this is going to be my group number 2 and this is going to be my group number 3. So this is how you will be numbering these groups according to the highest priority. Fine. So I'll just rub this out first and then we will be doing a few more examples as well, so that the concept is perfectly clear to you people. Fine. Okay. So what you have learned is now that we had a CH methyl group and an ethyl group. Both of them, they were equivalent by rule number 1 because both of them, they had carbon as the first atom. And by rule number 2, the ethyl was ranked higher than the methyl group because ethyl, it had a carbon as its highest second atom, whereas methyl, it only had hydrogen as its second atom. Okay, so let us look at one more example. Now in this example, these are the 2 points of controversy, the two groups which will be attached to the chirality center, where you will be looking at the second atoms. Okay, so this is a carbon which is attached to a chirality center, and on the other side this will be the group which will be attached to the chirality center, the same chirality center, and you are comparing both of them. So when you are comparing both of them, what you are going to do is you are going to again write that to this C, what is attached? A C and a H. So you can write it as a C, C, H, and on the other side it is going to be a C, a H, and a H. So this is a C, H, H. This is going to cancel out, this is going to cancel out. What is going to left is this side, this C, and this is a H. So this will be a group of higher priority. Let us see one more example. Okay, so in this now what you can see is I have a C, a N, and a H, and on this side it is a H, a C, L, and a H. When you're going to compare these, what you're going to see is out of these three and these three, which is the atom of highest atomic number? It is going to be chlorine. Okay, so first of all you have to see which is the atom which is of the highest atomic number out of all the 6 that you have. So we have here this side a chlorine, so this will be a group of higher priority. Okay, so this is how you are going to ascertain which is going to be a group of higher priority, and once you have done that, you are going to number them from 1 to 4. So now let us move on to rule number 3. And rule number 3, well, what does this say? Let us first of all understand this again with the help of an example. And the example again I will be taking is of an asymmetric carbon which is attached to a chlorine, a hydrogen, a CH3 group, and a CHO group this time. All right. So now rule number 1 said that priority order is according to the atomic number. So this is going to be 1, this is going to be 4. Again, there's going to be a confusion at position number 2 and 3 because the next atoms attached to the asymmetric carbon, they are both carbon atoms, carbon of the CH3 group and the carbon of the aldehyde group. Now we move on to rule number 2, and rule number 2 said look at the next set of atoms. So we start looking at the next set of atoms. In the CH3, the carbon is going to be attached to 3 hydrogens, and in the CHO group it is going to be attached to a hydrogen and a double bonded oxygen. Now the problem is that these are 3 atoms and these are just 2. So how do we compare these? So here comes the help of rule number 3. And what does rule number 3 say? The rule number 3 says that the multi-bonded atoms, they are equivalent to the same number of single bonded atoms. Now what does this mean? What this means is that if, for example, we have an aldehyde group like you are seeing over here, right? So in this, what do we have is a carbon which is forming a double bond with an oxygen atom. So what we are going to do is we are going to consider this to be a carbon atom which is single bonded to two oxygen atoms. So what we can rewrite the CHO group is as it was one hydrogen, oxygen, another oxygen atom. Okay, so we will be having a carbon which is not forming a double bond with oxygen, but it is forming a single bond with two oxygen atoms, right? I'll just rub this, and I have this all written in the printed form as well, so you will be able to understand all this. So look over here. So here we have the CHO group, the carbon double bonded to oxygen, and then we have just simplified this into the opening of this. This is the carbon which of the CHO group. Now this is forming two single bonds with two oxygen atoms. Now similarly, this oxygen atom of the CHO group, this was also forming a double bond with two carbon atoms. So you are going to write this also a carbon along with the oxygen atom also. Okay, so these two, first of all, this oxygen and this carbon, they are called as phantom atoms. They were not actually existing. We have just created these to make our priority order look understandable to us. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So now in the CH3 group, what did you have was a 3H. So you can write this as a H, H and a H. And in the CHO group, now you have this carbon which is attached to a hydrogen, oxygen and oxygen. Okay, so this is going to be a OOH. So obviously the atomic number of oxygen is going to be more than that of hydrogen. So we will be having the CHO group to be of a higher priority than the CH3 group. So this would be group number 2, this would be group number 3 in the example that we had taken. Okay, so I hope this is also clear now, rule number 2. But although I will be giving you more expansion where we are going to have double bonds, triple bonds, so let us see a few more examples. So in the example that I will be showing you, well, I will just be opening up a carbon-carbon double bond and a carbon-carbon triple bond. So here this pink carbon, this is attached to a hydrogen atom, an alkyl group. So this means another carbon, a H and a C, and this is forming a double bond with this green carbon. So it is a H, a C and a C. But we need a fourth bond for this carbon. Okay, so that fourth bond, how are we going to form? We are going to convert this double bond as if it is forming two single bond with two carbons. So this is going to be this C which is forming now two single bonds with the two green C's, and similarly the green C, this is also going to form two sigma bonds with two carbons. So this is just to find a priority order. That is what you have to understand. In actually, it is not going to be that a double bond is equivalent to two sigma bonds. No, it is not that way. We are just going to compare these with this help of rule number 3. Okay. So here now we have this carbon forming two sigma bonds with two carbons and with two hydrogens. So this one is going to be a HHCC and this will be a HHCC. Okay, and when we have a carbon-carbon triple bond, we are going to consider this carbon forming three single bonds with three carbon atoms. Okay, so this carbon in pink, this is forming three single bonds with three carbons, three green carbons, 1, 2 and 3. Similarly, one of these three, okay, not all of them, just one of these three, which was the actual carbon. The rest of them, they were not existing. So we are not considering them. We are considering the ones which were actually present, this carbon and this carbon. So this C is also going to form three single bonds with three carbon atoms, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, I hope this is clear to you people how we are going to open up a double bond or a triple bond, and then how will you be comparing them, and you will be finding a priority order for the different groups. Now, once you have ranked the four groups attached to the chiral carbon, orient the molecules such a way that the group with the lowest ranking, that is group number 4, this points directly back away from us. Okay, so for example, you have this over here, a diagram in which you can see that there is one chirality center, one carbon which is surrounded by four different groups, and this is its mirror image compound. Both of them, they are enantiomers for each other, both of them, they are optical isomers for each other. Here what you can see is that group number 4, this is in the plane of paper. You're going to orient the molecule in such a way that group number 4, this goes backwards. Okay, so now this is where you have to imagine things, and once you're going to do that, well, this group 3 groups, they are going to be projecting forward, and this is going to look like as if it is a steering wheel. So these three, they are going to be the spokes of a steering wheel. Okay, and once you have it in this fashion, that the fourth group, this is projecting backwards, well, you are going to draw a curved arrow from group number 1 to 2 to 2 to 3 and 3 back to 1. So this becomes a steering wheel, and now we are turning the steering wheel in which direction for this compound? In the right side. Okay, and here what you can see is that we have the molecule, again group number 4, projecting backward, and this is also an arrow from 1 to 2 to 3. So this is a steering wheel being turned in the left direction. Okay, so this is in the right direction, this is in the left direction, both of them, they are looking like a steering wheel. Now, if in the steering wheel, what you can see is that the wheel is being turned towards the right, it is a movement in the clockwise direction from 1 to 2 to 3. You will be calling it as the R configuration, where R, this stands for the Latin word rectus, which means right. And when it is from 1 to 2 through 3 in the anti-clockwise direction, we call this to be the S configuration, where S stands for the Latin word sinister, which means left. And sinister, well, this was something, well, you can consider in the English verse, it is related to a thief. So in English, what initially the early days it was thought was that the left-handed people, well, they are not the normal one. These are the people who have a wicked mind, who are thieves. So for a thief, the word sinister was used, and because the left-handed people were associated with that, well, that is how the name came into being. So the S configuration is standing for left turn of the wheel or in the anti-clockwise direction, whereas the R configuration is going to stand when the three groups 1, 2 and 3, they are going to be arranged in such a way that this arrow is like the right turn of the steering wheel, or it is in the clockwise direction. So clockwise is R and anti-clockwise is S. Now this representation is going to be a better representation for you people to understand how you're going to rotate the molecule, how are you going to check the R and the S configuration. So if you look over here, this first diagram, you have a carbon in the center which is surrounded by four different groups represented by four different balls, and I'm just going to give them arbitrarily group number 1, 2, 3, 4. So pink one is 1, blue is 2, this yellow one, this is 3, and the green one is 4. Okay, so 1 is going to be the group of highest priority, and 4, this is the group of lowest priority. Here what you can see in this projection is 1 and 4, they are the vertical groups, they are coming towards us, and 2 and 3, they are projecting backwards, they are the horizontal ones. Okay, so this is how we understand in the model. What we want is this group number 4, this should go backwards away from us. So just understand it that we are holding on to this position number 1 atom, and we are going to rotate all these three groups. Okay, just like a merry-go-round. Okay, and when you are going to rotate it, well, number 3, this will come in the position of 2, just like this. 2 will be coming in the position of 4 like this, and 4 will be going backwards. Okay, and now 4 has gone backwards, and then what you're going to do is you're going to draw an arrow from 1 to 2 to 3, forgetting the 4. And now this arrow, well, this is going to be in what direction? This is in the clockwise direction. So if it is in the clockwise direction, it is going to be the R configuration. So these are the steps we have to name a compound. First of all, ranking the groups about the asymmetric carbon in the relative order of the priority of the atomic numbers, and if there is going to be a difference, moving on to the next atoms and the next. So that is all you have learned in the various rules. Once you have done that, then you are going to project group number 4 away from you, and then draw an imaginary arrow from the group or atom which is of a highest priority, atom number 1, to atom number 2 to atom number 3. If it is going to be just one, that is sufficient for you people to understand that this rotation is going to be in the clockwise direction. So if this is in the clockwise direction, you will be calling it as the R configuration. If it is going to be in the anti-clockwise direction, it is going to be the S configuration. So now that you have understood what is going to be a R configuration, S configuration, let us do an example. The example we will be taking is the enantiomers of 2-bromobutane, and I will be drawing the perspective formula for that. That is the wedge and dash representation. So this is how we are going to represent 2-bromobutane, the two enantiomeric forms of that. Okay, now here what is going to be the first step? The first step is that you are going to rank the 4 different groups, which is going to be the highest in priority, then the second, third, fourth, according to their atomic numbers. So what we will get, bromine is going to be of highest priority, then ethyl, then methyl, and then hydrogen. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what you can see over here is that hydrogen, this is already being represented by the wedged hatch. So this is projecting backwards away from us already. So we do not have to reorient the molecule. So what do we have to do? We have to just draw the arrow from group number 1 to 2 to 3. So that is what we do. Okay, so 1 to 2 to 3. Forgetting 4, we do not need 4, right? So this is going to be in what direction over here, this compound? Well, this is in the anti-clockwise direction, whereas this one in the clockwise direction. So this compound will be called as S2-bromobutane, and this will be called as R2-bromobutane. Okay, so I hope this is clear, that if the arrow this points in the clockwise direction, we have it as the R configuration. If it is in the anti-clockwise direction, the compound is in the S configuration. So this is how we name the two enantiomeric forms. Now this was a very easy example. Why easy example? Because the hydrogen, or you can say the fourth priority group, this was already bonded by a hatched wedge, which means that this was already projecting in the backward direction where we wanted it to be. But supposedly, if the priority group number 4 is not bonded by a hatched wedge, it is not projecting backward, then what do you have to do? Yes, you have to orient the molecule in such a way that the lowest priority group, this is bonded by a hatched wedge, this goes backward. Only then you will be able to make the arrows between group number 1 to 2 to 3, and your steering wheel complete, and you will be able to check whether the arrows are in the clockwise direction or in the anti-clockwise direction, and from that only you will be able to tell whether it is the R configuration or the S configuration. Now the problem here is that most of the students, they do not understand how we are going to orient the molecule in such a way that the lowest priority group is occupying the hash wedge. They generally do make a mistake doing that. So I am going to tell you here a very easy trick, and this trick is going to be helpful to make 100% proper answer whether it is a R configuration or the S configuration. So the example over here, what you can see is that we have an asymmetric carbon. It is surrounded by 4 different groups. The priority order of the 4 groups has already been done. The OH is priority number 1 because oxygen, this has the highest atomic number. Then the ethyl group by rule number 2. Rule number 2 differentiates the ethyl and the methyl group, being ethyl being greater in priority than the methyl group. So this is going to be group number 2, 3, and hydrogen having the lowest atomic number, this is going to be group number 4. Now having done that, what you can see is that hydrogen, this is occupying what position? A solid wedge. A solid wedge means that hydrogen is projecting towards us, not back. What do we want? We want this to be bonded by a hatched wedge. right? And hash wedge is this position is being occupied by the CH3 group. So what do? Well, simply switch CH3 and H, and this is what projection you will be getting. And once you have got this, just simply again now check what is the arrangement of these arrows from 1 to 2 to 3. This is going to be the clockwise arrangement, and clockwise means what? It is going to be the R configuration. Okay, so the switch of the two groups has been done, so that group number 4 is bonded by a hash wedge. Then we proceed as step number 2. We draw the arrow from a group with the highest priority, group number 1, to the second highest priority group. Now, very importantly, because the two groups, they are switched, you are now determining the configuration of the enantiomer of the original molecule. Now, do you remember this? Studying it in lecture number 2 of optical isomerism. While we were talking about the chirality center, with the help of the models, I showed you this, that if you switch the position of any two groups, what you get is the enantiomeric form of this molecule. And if you switch three groups together, well, you get the original molecule back again. So this is what I've shown you with models. If you have forgotten, go back to lecture number 2 of optical isomerism, and there just fast forward the lecture by about 30 to 33 minutes, and you will be able to exactly see the point where we have talked about this switching over. Switching two groups, you get the enantiomeric form of the molecule. Switching three groups together, you will be getting the molecule back again. Okay, so just watch that if you have forgotten. Now, so what this means is that when I am switching the position of any two groups, it is a CH3 and a H in this case. So what I will be getting is the enantiomer of this molecule. And now this enantiomer, this has the R configuration, means that the original molecule of ours, this has the S configuration. So this molecule has what configuration? The S configuration. And in contrast, if it would have been the counter clockwise direction, the enantiomer has the S configuration, which means that the original molecule would have had the R configuration. Okay, so now I think this will be very easy for you people. If you are switching over two groups, just you will be getting the enantiomer's configuration. For the original one, just say the opposite. Okay. Now there is one word of caution for you, and that word of caution is that when you are drawing the arrows from group number 1 to 2, the group with the lowest priority order, that is fourth group, this can be skipped, but never the group with the next lower priority order, that is group number 3. So for example, you have this molecule 1-bromo-3-pentanol. Okay, so here you can see OH, this is going to be group number 1 priority, then this one, and then this, and fourth group is going to be hydrogen. So when you're going to move your arrow from group number 1 to group number 2, well, this is going to be crossing over the fourth group and never crossing over the third group from moving from group number 1 to 2. So you have to remember that fourth one is what you are not looking at. The three spokes of the wheel, they are going to be group number 1, group number 2, and group number 3. And because this is a clockwise rotation, so this is going to be R1-bromo-3-pentanol. Now with this trick, I think it is going to be very easy for you that if a molecule is given to you in the examination, which is in the wedge and dash representation, how you are going to tell whether the molecule has a R configuration or the S configuration. But supposedly now, instead of the wedge and dash representation, what you are given is the Fisher projection. So then what you are going to do? Well, then again, what you have to do is, first of all, obviously, you have to rank the groups that are bonded to the asymmetric carbon in order of the priority. Then you will be drawing an arrow from group number 1 with the highest priority, that is group number 1, to the next one, that is group number 2. And then again, what you will be seeing is that if the arrow this points in the clockwise direction, the enantiomer, this has the R configuration, and if it is in the counterclockwise direction, well, it is going to have the S configuration. But here the word of caution is that the lowest priority group, this should be on the vertical bond. Okay, so let me show you the example of 3-chlorohexane. So in this 3-chlorohexane, you can see that this is the Fischer projection. The cross section of these two lines, well, this is going to be the chirality center, which is surrounded by 4 different groups, and we have done the priority order for them. Chlorine is going to be priority number 1, propyl group is going to be priority number 2, then the ethyl group, and then the hydrogen. Okay, and what this means, Fischer projection, I hope you all remember that the horizontal ones, they are projecting towards us, and the vertical ones, they are projecting backwards from the plane of paper, right? So this means this hydrogen is projecting backwards, and that is what we said is important, that the 4th priority group, this should be projecting backwards away from us. So this is just similar to the hydrogen being projected by the hatched wedge. Okay, I hope this is clear now. So this hydrogen in a Fischer projection, the 4th priority group, this should be on the vertical bond. If it is on the vertical bond, then you just see the arrow, what is the direction from 1 to 2. So if in this you are seeing that this direction is the clockwise direction, this compound, this will be having the R configuration, and this is its mirror image enantiomer, so this is going to be the S configuration. Okay, so 2 enantiomers, one is going to have a R configuration, the other is going to have the S configuration. One is in the clockwise direction, the other is always going to be in the anti-clockwise direction for the arrangement of the groups, right? So this is when it is on the vertical bond. But supposedly now the 4th priority group is not on the vertical bond, but it is on the horizontal bond. Then what you are going to do? So look at this molecule of 2-butanol. These are the 2 enantiomers, the mirror image compounds for 2-butanol. These two are going to be optical isomers. And here now, when you arrange them according to the priority order, all the 4 groups, you will be getting OH as group number 1, the ethyl group as group number 2, the methyl group as group number 3, and hydrogen, this will be occupying the 4th group, right? So here what you can see is that the lowest priority group is on the horizontal bond, it is not on the vertical bond. Okay, and then what you have to do over here is that the answer you will be getting from the direction of the arrow, this has to be opposite to the correct answer. So 4th group is on the horizontal bond, the arrow from 1 to 2, this is a clockwise direction, so this should be an R configuration, but actually this is going to be the S configuration. Similarly, here it is in the anti-clockwise direction. According to the direction of the arrow, you are going to write what? It is the S configuration. But actually, this is going to be the R configuration. Why is this so? Again, understand. In the wedge and dash projection also, I showed you that the 4th group, this should be always pointing backwards. Okay, so here it being on the horizontal bond, this means that this is projecting forward. You have to switch the position of 2 groups so that this projects backward. Either you do it with a CH3 or you do it with the ethyl group. Okay, so supposedly I do it between a CH3 and a H. Okay, so rather than a CH3, I put a H over here, and here I put a CH3. So this is a switch of how many groups? This is a switch of 2 groups. 2 groups means that you have made the enantiomer of the compound. Now look at the arrows. Again, this is going to be 1, 2, 2, 2, 3 this way. And hydrogen, this has gone back, right? So this is not in the picture anymore. So this is what direction? This is the clockwise direction. This is the clockwise direction for this compound's enantiomer. So this compound, this has the R configuration. The original molecule, this should have the S configuration. Okay, I hope this is clear to you people, that when you are making a switch of 2 groups, the answer you will be getting is for the enantiomer of the compound, which has been asked to you in the question. So answer what you are getting, just change the configuration from the compound that you are getting now for the enantiomer. Okay, I hope this is clear. And the next compound that you can see on your screen, this is again a very important one, very frequently asked again for optical isomerism questions, and the compound is lactic acid. What is going to be the IUPAC name for this compound? It is going to be carbon number 1, the COH group, then this carbon, and then this carbon. So 3 carbon chain. That means it is going to be propanoic acid, and at position number 2 we have a OH group, so it is 2-hydroxypropanoic acid, the IUPAC name for lactic acid. This is also what you should be knowing. Okay, now in this lactic acid, what you can see is that there is one asymmetric carbon, 100% the compound is going to be chiral compound. So this compound, that is S-lactic acid and R-lactic acid, they both are the enantiomers for each other. They both are the optical isomers for each other, right? Okay, so how do we name this compound? You all now know. So let us just do that quickly. I've already written the priority order for the 4 groups. OH, oxygen, is going to be having the highest atomic number. Then we have the COOH group. So this carbon and CH3 both have a carbon-carbon. Then you have to look at the next set of chains. So for COOH group, it is going to be oxygen and 2 single bonded oxygen. So oxygen, 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 and here it is going to be all hydrogen. So this is priority group number 2, this is priority group number 3, and this will be priority group number 4. So when you're going to draw the arrow, you will be moving from 1 to 2. Okay, and 1 to 2, this is going to be across 4. Okay, and then this is in the clockwise direction. Clockwise direction, hydrogen is on the horizontal group, so horizontal line. So this means that you have to reverse the order. So this is going to be S-lactic acid, and obviously its enantiomer is going to be R-lactic acid. So when we are going to have the enantiomers for each other, they are going to be of the opposite configuration. One is going to be the R, the other is going to be the S configuration. Okay, and you can even check that when you are going to see the configuration. So from OH to COH, again you can see that this is in the anti-clockwise direction. So your answer is going to be the reverse of that. It is going to be the R configuration. So this is R lactic acid. Okay, so what you have to always remember is that when you're going to draw the arrow from group number 1 to 2, the arrow has to cross over lowest priority group and never third group. Okay, so the arrow is always going to be 1 to 2 over 4, never over 3. That is what you have to remember. Do not make a mistake over here. All right, now the next thing that you have to see is how do you make out between the RS configuration and the dextro and levo rotatory configuration. Okay, so the R and the S configuration, this does not tell us about the direction the compound rotates the plane of polarization. This means that we can have an R compound rotating the plane of polarization to the right and some rotating to the left. So our compound can be dextro-rotatory, it can be levo-rotatory also. How will we find it? Well, we will have to place the compound in the polarizer. From that, we will be able to know whether it is rotating the light in the clockwise direction or in the anti-clockwise direction. There is no other way. So the RS configuration is beneficial to us that we do not have to put every compound into the plane polarizer and then find out what is going to be its nature to differentiate between the two compounds. Okay. Alright, so one example we have is for over here RS and dextro-rotatory that you should remember is that we have S-lactic acid and S-sodium lactate. Okay, both of them, they have the same configuration. It is the S configuration. You can determine this is OH group, this is COH group. Okay, so when you're going to move from here, this is going to be in what direction? It is going to be the anti-clockwise direction. Hydrogen is occupying the the dash position, so it is going to be the same configuration. You do not have to change it whenever hydrogen, the 4th priority group that is present on the dash. Okay, so here this is going to be the S configuration. If you look over here, well, you are going to move from OH to COH. Again, hydrogen is on the dash it is projecting backwards. So again here anti-clockwise means S. So we have S lactic acid, S sodium lactate, both of them having the same configuration as far as the orientation of the groups around the asymmetric carbon is concerned. But when we put it in the polarizer, what we find is that S lactic acid, this is rotating the plane of polarization in the clockwise direction. This is dextro-rotatory, whereas S sodium lactate, it is rotating it in the anti-clockwise direction. It is going to be levorotatory. Okay, so we do not have any idea to find out except putting the compound in the polarizer to find it is going to be dextro or levo. A compound may be R, it can be dextro, it can be levo. A compound may be S, it may be dextro, it may be levo. So okay, so you have to remember this, very important. So now that you have learned writing the RS configuration, what I want you all to do is to write for these three structures which is going to be which configuration. It is going to be the R configuration or the S configuration, and once you have done that, you can continue the lecture further. I am going to explain you all these three. Okay, so now if you've done that, let us begin with the first one. So this is the first structure that we have. Okay, so in this structure what you can see is that we have a tritium, we have a hydrogen, right? So we have a tritium, we have a hydrogen, then we have a CH double bonded to a CH2, and we have the CHO group. So first of all, what you can see is that we have the two isotopes of hydrogen. One is hydrogen and one is tritium. So out of these two, which one is going to be a lower one? Now I'm starting from backwards. Why I'm starting from backward is because here you have a C and a C. These two are, there is going to be a controversy between group number 1 and group number 2. And then there is going to be between a decision between a tritium and a hydrogen. That will be group number 3 and group number 4. So hydrogen is going to be group number 4 because this has a lower atomic mass as compared to its isotope, that is tritium. Okay, so when you have same atomic number, you will be choosing that one to be of a higher priority, which is having a higher atomic mass. And tritium, this has an atomic mass 3, and protium, this is going to have atomic mass number 1. So 3 and 4 are done. Now we are left to choose between 1 and 2, where we find that the next car atom to next to the chirality center, both of them, they have carbon. When they have carbon, you have to look onto the next set of groups, right? So when we look at a CH2, how are we going to write that? Well, just let us write that only. So we have a carbon which is forming a single bond with a hydrogen, and it is a double bond with a CH2 group. So a double bond means writing two single bonds with carbons, and one of them is the phantom carbon. Okay, so what you will be getting is a C and a H. And as far as the CHO group is concerned, well, that is going to be a carbon with a single bonded hydrogen and double bonded oxygen. So you will be writing it as this. So there will become a COO and H. So obviously this is going to be a higher priority than the CCH. So this is going to be group number 1 and this is going to be group number 2. Fine. So now what you can see is that the hydrogen, this is always already present on the vertical position. When it is present on the vertical position, crossing over it from 1 to 2, what you can see is this is what direction? This is in the anti-clockwise direction. Anti-clockwise direction, hydrogen is already on the vertical line. You have to just follow the curve of the line. So it is going to be S configuration. Okay, so this is a S configuration. I hope this is clear, no problem. All right, let us move on to the next one. So now this one is going to be very important, and I hope you people must have faced some problem doing this question. So what are we going to do over here? Let us see that. So first of all, we have an oxygen, a carbon, a hydrogen and a carbon. So oxygen highest atomic number, hydrogen lowest atomic number, no controversy. controversy again at second and third position, because we both have a carbon at position number 2 and 3 for these two groups. So which one to choose? So obviously you have to look at the next set of atoms. Now when we look at the next set of atoms, well, you can write that CH2 group as a C, and this will be the phantom carbon. Okay, now with this carbon which we have drawn, this was the double bond. Fine, so this was the double bond. So this carbon also has to have its own phantom carbon. In the last one I did not write that because my work was done at the second set of atoms only. Here you are going to find that my work is not going to be done at the second set of atoms. All right, so this is first of all what I have written. Now you look at this side, what you can see is that we have a carbon which is forming a bond with a hydrogen. It is the CH3 group and this is the CH3 group. Okay, so here it is a CC and a H, and this one is also a CCH. So the second set of atoms, this is also the same. So you have to look at the next set of atoms. Now when you look at the next set of atoms, here you are seeing a carbon. You have not completely satisfied the valencies of these atoms. Okay, so when you have not satisfied the valencies of these atoms, do that. Whichever is empty, fill that with her hydrogen. Okay, so here this carbon, this is forming two bonds, one with this carbon and one this carbon. So this means the remaining two, just write a hydrogen over here. Okay, and this carbon is forming just bond with this carbon, so three valencies are vacant for it, write three hydrogens. So this is how you will be doing, completing the valencies for the carbons. This is something that you did not see in the rest of the rules. So that example I chose for you people to understand. Fine. So here now what you can see is that this carbon, well, this is forming a H and a C bond, and this one is forming a H. And here we have all hydrogens. So this is going to be our group of priority. That means this is the group of priority. This is going to be group number 2 and this is going to be group number 3. Okay, so again what you can see is the hydrogen is still present on the vertical position. Whether it is present on the top or the bottom, it does not make a difference. So what you will be doing is from 1 to 2 you draw the arrow. So this is again in the anti-clockwise direction. The configuration is going to be the S configuration. Okay, I hope this is clear. All right, let us see one more example that we had. So in this example what you can see is, so in this example, now you have cyclic groups. So how are you going to deal with this? This is again one example that you have not seen in the previous discussion. So I have chosen this also. This can also be asked to you in the examination to write the RS configuration. So how are you going to deal with this? So obviously hydrogen is going to be group number 4. There is no problem in this. Now look at this one. Okay, so how you deal with a cyclic structure is, this is a carbon. This point, this is the carbon. Fine. So this carbon, this is attached to carbon number 1 and carbon number 2 before it comes back to the original point. So what you can do is you can write this as a C, which is attached to a carbon and to a carbon, and on the other side go back again from this side now. So you can write this as a C and a C. This is how you have opened up this ring. Okay, so this carbon was forming a bond with this carbon and with this before returning back to the original position, and from this side also the same way. Fine, so this is how you write this one. Okay, how do you write this one? This is a cyclobutane. So how are you going to write? Starting from this center, okay, so this will be the C. You will be reaching 1 carbon, 2 carbon, 3 carbon before you come back to the original starting point. So you can write this as 3 C's. And on the other side also you will be writing it as 3 C's. Okay, and in this one you will be writing this as how many? 5. 3, 4 and 5. So keep on looking at 1 carbon each. So this is a carbon. Fine. So if this is the carbon that I have, obviously this is attached to 1 chirality center. So how many valencies left for this? It is going to be 1 hydrogen over here. Similarly, there is going to be one hydrogen over here and there is going to be one hydrogen over here. So these were similar, these are also similar. Fine. So look at the next one. So when you look at the next one, again what you can see is that this carbon is forming one bond with one carbon. So obviously the rest of the three, that is going to be hydrogen. Similarly for this one, it is also going to be hydrogen. Okay. And for this one, what is it? It is forming two bonds with two carbons. So it is having two valencies free. So it is going to be a H and a H. For this one also, it will be a H and a H. Okay. So now you can see that out of these two groups, which one is of a higher priority? This one. Similarly, when you are going to compare it with this one, this will be of a higher priority. Okay, so I hope you can now understand. Keep on looking at one set of atoms, whatever valencies they are not complete, complete that with hydrogen, and keep on comparing one set after the other. So which is going to be the group of highest priority? This is going to be group number 1. This is going to be group number 2, and this is going to be group number 3. Right. So there is now hydrogen. This is present on the horizontal line. So whatever is going to be the direction of your arrow, you have to reverse the answer to that. Okay. So you have to cross from 1 to 2 over the 4. Right. So this is in what direction? This is in the clockwise direction. So your answer is going to be in the end opposite to that. So again, this will be the S configuration. Okay, so I hope with all these examples, the concept wherever we have one chirality center, that is clear to you people. Now you know how we are going to write the name of the compound, whether it is going to be the R compound or it is going to be the S compound. This is going to be beneficial to us obviously to give a separate identity to both the enantiomers or to the both optical isomers for a compound. But this is going to be also helpful to you people to differentiate between enantiomers and identical molecules. Okay, so let me tell you how are you going to differentiate between an enantiomer and an ideal compound with the help of this RS configuration. And trust me, this is going to be very helpful to you because this is a very frequently asked question in the examination. You have to differentiate between the enantiomers and the identical molecules. Okay, so the enantiomers, they are going to be the non-superimposable mirror images of each other, whereas identical molecules, well, they can be the mirror images of each other, but they will be superimposable. Okay, if you have the molecular models of the molecule, what you are going to do is just superimpose the models and you will be able to find out whether they are enantiomers or they are going to be identical molecules. But again, you cannot do that in the examination. So you have to work with the two-dimensional piece of paper and determine their configuration. So do that. Find out what it is going to be. Is it going to be a R configuration or it is going to be the S configuration? If one of the compound has the R configuration and the other has the S configuration, okay, so they are going to be enantiomers. And if both of them they have the R configuration or both of them they have the S configuration, they are going to be identical molecules. When you are going to compare two Fisher projections to see whether they are same or different, well, do not rotate one a 90-degree angle or do not turn one over. This you will be able to appreciate when you are going to see further the examples in the Fisher projection. A Fisher projection, this can be rotated an angle of 180 degree in the plane of paper, and this will be the only way to move it without risking an incorrect answer. Okay, so whenever you are checking for the enantiomers and identical molecules in a Fisher projection, rotate the molecule by an angle of 180 degree but in the plane of paper to check whether their structures they are identical or they are going to be enantiomers. So now let us look at one question which can be asked to you in the examination related to this understanding. Out of the following pair of structures, tell whether they represent enantiomers or two molecules of the same compound in different orientation, and the structure given is structure A and this is structure B. Okay, so here first of all, what are you going to do? Well, you have to set the priority of the functional groups. Okay, so when you do a priority of the functional groups, well, we have bromine to be having the highest atomic number, so this is going to be 1, this will be 2, this will be 3, and this will be 4. Okay, and what you can see is hydrogen, this is having the lowest atomic number, so this should be on the dash. This should be on the dash, so means you have to exchange the position of hydrogen and bromine. And similarly here also, this is in the plane of paper, but you still want it on the dash, so again you're going to interchange the position of hydrogen and bromine. Okay, so when you do that, this is going to be compound A and this is going to be compound B. Hydrogen in the dash position and hydrogen in the dash position. Okay, so here I will be just writing down the number also. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. And you have to just remember that you have made a switch. If you have made a switch, whatever is going to be your answer from the arrows, you have to write the opposite of that for the configuration of the molecule. Fine. So this is bromine is 1. Moving over hydrogen, which is 4, I will be going on to chlorine. This is my group number 2. So this arrow is in the anti-clockwise direction and I have to write the reverse of it. So my answer is going to be the R configuration. Okay, and here it is going to be 1 to 2 this way. So this is what direction? Again, this is in the anti-clockwise direction. Anti-clockwise direction means it is S, but we have to write the opposite of it. So this is going to be again the R configuration. And both of them, these were the same molecules as far as the structural formula was concerned, right? So both of them, they have the similar group of atoms attached to the carbon and they have the same structural formula. So they were stereoisomers. We just wanted to find out whether they are enantiomers or they are identical molecules. And now what we see is that, well, both of them, they have the same R configuration. When they have the same R configuration, they are going to be identical molecules. If one would have been a R and the other would have been a S, we would have called them as enantiomers. Okay. So now we come back to the point where we started the learning. So where did we start the learning? Yes, we started the learning with this compound as bromochlorofluoromethane. And now we see that this compound is called as the R compound and this is S compound, and we now exactly know what do all these mean. So do we check whether the names have been written right or not? Let us do that. So first, the priority order is already known to you. So we can do the priority order once again. So bromine is going to be 1, chlorine is going to be 2, fluorine is going to be 3, and hydrogen is going to be 4. Hydrogen is already present on the dash projection. It is pointing backwards. So we do not have to do anything about that. So from 1 to 2, well, we make the arrow crossing over 4. So what is this direction? This is the clockwise direction. Clockwise direction, well, the name of the compound, yes, this has to be the R isomer. Fine. And the opposite one, obviously, this is the mirror image compound. So if this one is R, this has to be S. Can we check it? Yes, we can definitely check it. Bromine is priority group number 1. Chlorine is priority group number 2. And the arrow, well, this is pointing in the anti-clockwise direction. Yes, the name of the compound is going to be the S isomer. So I hope now the whole understanding of the RS system of nomenclature is clear to you people. You have enjoyed your learning today. So that would be all for this lecture, but the RS system of nomenclature is not yet complete. Why it's not complete? Well, if supposedly the compound has 2 chirality centers, 3 chirality centers, how are you going to name that compound? So that learning is still pending, that we will be doing in the next lecture. I hope you enjoyed this one and definitely are looking forward for the next one. See you again. Have a nice day. God bless you.